Scott. Been fighting this fight for about 40-some years. The more things change, the more they stay the same. OEA, you need to get your act together. Get it to the membership. Either you're going to support the strikes or you're not. There's nothing in the middle. So whatever is going on over there, they need to see if they can get it moving in the right direction. We're not going to give up any of our schools. Occupy them all summer. If we need to put people with chains there, we're not giving up our buildings. You know when the school board is telling a lie? When they open their mouths. That thing last night was already determined before they even drug us through it. I told Moses and those guys, you got to get well, you got to get strong, you got to help us fight. If I don't say anything else, I keep getting the question, Coach, why are they doing this? Listen carefully. They don't care. They don't care. They want the schools. They want the charters. They're being paid by the millionaires and the billionaires to empty black and brown neighborhoods. We're saying, I got kids out there, so I got to watch it. How many of them? I caught it before it got out. 3 types of people. 3 types of people. Those that watch things happen, those that make things happen, and those that wonder what happened. I always have said strength in numbers. There's no I in team. We must fight this as a unit. I understand they visited some houses last night. I hope you stayed late and kept them up. Chauncey didn't even show up. So recall, yes. Ken just mentioned something about maybe we should take a group to Sacramento and sit in the Capitol until Newsom comes down there and meets some of our demands. I keep saying over and over again, everything works if you work. There's not one thing that's going to win this fight, but we have our children to think about. We must fight for the kids until they are old enough, strong enough to fight for themselves. So no to any closures, no to any mergers. We will occupy the buildings all summer if necessary. If we get to June, I don't understand why our outgoing board is making decisions for 2 and 3 years from now. They should deal day-to-day operations, and our new board, very important. 3 seats are going to be open. We need to make sure that we get 2 of those seats fighting for public schools. And we will never see this happen again. Never see it happen again. And it can't happen soon enough. Thank you.
And I talked to the principal, and I was like, yo, your school is a receiving school for Parker. And he was like, yeah, the district think we're going to get all these kids. We might get like 30 families. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I want to have a community meeting. And he was like, it's good. It's cool. He was like, I know you, Mr. Tim, a community meeting. I ain't telling him it was like a no school closures meeting. I just said a community meeting. And he said it's good. So yesterday, or the day before yesterday, it was a speak out in front of Clay Street. And when I was sitting there in front of Clay Street, the principal hit me and was like, I'm getting calls that I can't have a meeting on Markham campus. So you guys, I'm sorry you guys are sitting in a sort of like a guerrilla meeting because we opened up the gate anyway. But but Paloma just told me that they said the alarm went off or something, and that's why that security guy was walking around here. And so he's going to call the district and see if we have permission to be here. So we might have to leave in a minute. So, whose school? This is our school. That's how Moses, me, Paloma, I promise we built the culture of the school for about 10 years, man.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jazz. I am a teacher at La Esquelita. I teach 3rd grade. I also am a parent of a 4th grader at La Esquelita. I represent all of our families and our parents. We have been working hard day and night since the the board announced attacking our middle school. We met with Amy at 10 o'clock yesterday before she took the vote. It was a very emotional meeting, but she simply did not hear what we had to say. So we're here today, as Tim said. At the end of this meeting, I'm hoping that we can get a date on the calendar for our next action. There's been a lot of talk, but not enough putting that date on the calendar. So I hope by the end of today, we have our next action plan. We have to be bigger, we have to be louder, and I'm hoping we can get the entire Oakland community behind us to really show the district that this is not okay. It's 2022, and what they're doing to our black and brown students is, I mean, we already know it's super racist, right? So we got to show out for our kids. That's why I'm here. And I have a La Esquelita alumni to speak to you all.
Hello, everybody. My name is Fernando. I graduated from La Esquelita around 2 years ago. I currently am at West, and I think we're all aware that what's going on just should not be happening currently. It's something that we shouldn't even just be here sitting down hearing what I have to say. I shouldn't be up here. I should be, enjoying my time with my siblings, knowing that they're in La Esquelita and they're going to graduate. The district, in the board meeting that happened yesterday, they heard people that were of my age, of my color, saying that they will go on hunger strike if they did not make the right choice, and they didn't care. They heard people of my age, I'm 15, saying that they will not eat and put their health at risk, and they still said no. They've proven to us that every single effort that we've made so far means nothing to them. So what we have to do is put even more effort. If they don't want to pay attention to the effort we put now, we have to put even more, so they have to notice it. So they have to pay attention to us. We're going to force them to listen to us, because they aren't the ones in control currently. This is our school, our community. We built this community from the ground up, and they're just going to take that away from us? No. Of course not. We're not going to allow that to happen. So thank you everyone for being here. We're going to figure out what is our next plan to get this district to finally start listening to us. And when they realize that all of this is wrong and they actually do something to keep these schools, then I will be happy to say that this is all over and it was worth it. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here in community. My name is Sheng Thao. I'm an Oakland Council member and also a mayoral candidate. I've been that you close down a school without proper process, without an equity analysis. Why is it always, families that are in our most marginalized communities, our black and brown and low-income families, that get the brunt of all the negative consequences? There are no grocery stores in these communities. There are no banks in these communities. During COVID, we saw there was lack of resources in these same communities, and now we're saying to these same community members, we're closing down your schools. It's incredibly upsetting. And what are we teaching our kids? Our kids who attend these schools, our kids who look up to those teachers that they hope to see every single day, their friends, the people that they're with, their community. What are we saying to them? Well, we as adults are basically teaching them that they don't matter. And that is incredibly heartbreaking for me, because they are the ones that need the most love from us. They are the ones that, we talk about public safety all the time, right? Like, oh, public safety is a priority. Well, guess what? How we get to keeping us safe is investing more into our young people, not divesting from our young people. And so I stand with you in solidarity as one of the co-authors on the Oakland City Council, demanding that the state step up. We have surplus, billions of dollars in surplus at the state. And so we're asking the state to please step up and save our schools, not just save our schools, but really step up and show up for our families throughout the whole state of California. This is just not a unique situation here in the city of Oakland. This is happening all across California, and guess what we all have in common? is that these school closures are again in our black and brown and low income communities.
So I would like for us to hear what you have to say about your vote as you voted at the city council, because that affects our community.
Strong process for any decision that's being made. And at the port, this is why we pass the community benefits. I will not vote for a port that does not include the community benefits that are needed, including the affordable housing, including all the community benefits that are going in there, including the impact report in regards to the environment. This is just the very first step, and we made that very clear on the city council, and that we are not going to pass, and we're going to hold the line if we don't get the community benefits that we deserve and we need to see in that process. So I stand with the squad in that decision making, and we are committed to that. And that community process has started, and it needs to keep going. So if the A's or the Fishers or anybody feels like, oh, this is it, we won, well, that's actually not right.
It kind of showed the public that you chose Fisher instead of the people.
Yes, exactly.
So when you did that, it was like a slap in our face. And I'm just being honest with you, because for you to come and then really like say that you're standing in solidarity, you have to show it. We have men that are on hunger strikes, like that are risking their bodies. So when you stand in that political stance, we need you to really like speak what you're gonna do and then really do that. We've been offered affordable housing, and as you can see, black and brown folks are the most in the homeless encampments and have not been cleaned up. So we've been made promises and people are on lists and there's still no housing. So if we're gonna take your word, you have to show us something. You have to show us that you're willing to do this work and really stand on your word. Other than that, you gotta go. Because we're not here for that.
We on the city council, I'm equally upset with you that there is not enough affordable housing going up, that all we saw is market rate. But that's a trajectory of the executive branch. And this is why it takes people like myself, Councilmember Fife, Councilmember Bass, and Councilmember Vice Mayor Kaplan. On the city council, we can only write legislation. We can't direct staff. And so if the direction of the mayor is to direct staff to go and build market rate, well, guess what? That's what's going to happen in the city. And that's why I am not the endorsed candidate for mayor by the current mayor. She does not want to endorse me because this is exactly what I want to do. I want to move forward more affordable housing. I want to make sure that our schools don't close. If I was your mayor right now and I came out here and I said the schools are not closing, I bet you that would make a huge difference. There are huge differences in who leads the city. And what we can do on the city council is minimal. But on the executive side, that's where change can really happen. Okay, so they're taking the mic, but thank you all so much.
As much as I appreciate the attention of council people, as a brown person, as long as you're throwing money at OPD and at police academies, you're participating in disempowering black and brown youth. Like, let's just say it. Let's just say it. Right. Say it again. Charter schools are about gentrification, which is entirely connected to policing. Making these connections only makes us more powerful working together. The Anti-Police Care Project has been around for over a decade. We support the hunger strikers and the schools facing closures unconditionally. We have a lot of experience in shutting shit down. We are part of a large coalition, about a dozen black and brown community organizations. You need our support. We are here for you.
I'm Amelia Bailey. I'm current teacher at Sankofa United, former Kaiser teacher before they closed Kaiser to merge us at Sankofa United. We're making good headway at Sankofa, daily forming relationships with families, awesome students at Sankofa United. But I don't want any other school to be subjected to what we were when I was at Kaiser. No, we should not be giving away our public land. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
What's behind the attempt to close the schools?
Selling land so the developers can come in and do whatever they want. That's the end game. That's exactly what I see.
And privatization, you spoke out about the port. How is that involved with the education system?
I live here in D6, not far from where we are right now, and I need this desert developed. I don't need downtown that's already getting all these high rises to keep catering to rich white people coming from out of town. We need this underserved community developed, not downtown.
They want luxury condos and hotels.
Yeah, and we don't have things like that over here, but they want to take one of the few things that we have over here that generates money and move it downtown to a place that is already building up. So they should be investing money down here to build what we have currently.
I'm Elisa Victory. I'm running for mayor of Oakland 2022. I'm out here in solidarity with Reparations for Black Students campaign and the Stop School Closures. I'm a product of public schools. I'm raised here in Oakland, but I actually went to public school in Berkeley because all these same issues with Oakland Unified School District have been happening for decades. My parents knew it, my grandparents knew it. They were fighting the same things. My mother is a teacher. She's taught in public schools and private schools. She's taught for County Head Start. She has personally experienced the failures to pay people correctly, to support our teachers, that caused our own family to become homeless when I was trying to finish high school. And I'm here today standing so that students don't have to face those same issues that I did, that teachers don't have to face those same battles that my mother did trying to provide for me and my sister. I'm here because we don't have any deficit. We have an actual surplus at the state level.
And California has so much money now, a $45.7 billion surplus. Why don't they have any money for the schools?
There's no political will. Right? We want to invest or pay other people or do studies and initiatives. Again, we've known the problem. It's existed for decades. It's cyclical. They've been threatening to close these schools since at least 2019. I was at these same meetings watching parents cry and plead with the school board, watching students plead to not have their education taken from them, to have more access, and instead they're getting the exact opposite. So I'm here and standing in solidarity so that people can remain here, that people can stay rooted here, can have access to education and opportunities for their families to thrive in this city.
And what's your position on the stadium? Because it came up here at this meeting that people felt it was wrong for the board of or the city council to vote in favor of this environmental study.
It was absolutely wrong for council to approve that environmental impact report. It does not show any successful mitigations for the toxic levels of pollution that will be in air and water to build or to maintain the project. Even with the railroads, sorry, I'm losing my words a bit, but several orgs have already submitted letters immediately after that vote showing that there was not enough analysis done, that there is no way for this project to safely work for the people of this community. I am always going to go to bat for our community. I was on the Community Benefits Agreement Negotiations Committee for the Labor and Economic Development Subcommittee for 9 months, putting out a comprehensive package of what labor, economic development, community benefits look like. And my understanding is the A's said zero. They were not going to fund any of that. So my position is if it's going to happen, you have to come through the community on our terms. So I do not support the EIR as it stands, and I absolutely will not support a stadium without robust community benefits laid out exactly how our Community Benefits Committee has drawn them out.
Yeah, but the longshoremen and the maritime workers are saying that that stadium right in the middle of a port land, privatization of port land, would actually destroy the working port.
My priority is to keep the A's in Oakland and to actually develop and invest in our current tourist area where the existing stadium is at. My family members who live in the deep 90s in this community work as stadium workers. I absolutely want to protect those jobs and protect the vitality of our city, but it needs to be in the right place for the right reasons.
You're rebuilding the stadium if they want to stay here in the Coliseum.
Absolutely, it's still an option. We have our exclusive negotiating agreement with the African American Sports and Entertainment Group. Even the A's themselves have said they want to develop that area as a tech campus. So there's still opportunities and options. We are very far from any final approvals or votes or breaking ground. And I, again, want the best for our community. And I want to invest in deep East Oakland, and I will not support any development in West Oakland that is going to be harmful to our community. And again, not partnered with robust community benefits for all development projects that are going to be proposed going forward in our city. I stand with ILWU and all workers. I will always protect workers and their workers' rights, their rights to healthy environments, their rights to have a say in things that may change their jobs or lose their jobs. I am a union attorney and a union member myself. I actually did a 2-hour Black Business Roundtable with the president of ILWU Local 10, Trent Willis. So I am clear on my position and working in solidarity with our workers, with the Community Benefits Agreement Steering Committee, and with our elected leaders to make sure that we all really do win. And that doesn't look like selling off our city and our community to a corporation.
I'm the site representative for Westlake, so the first thing I want to acknowledge is that if you offend somebody or you do something wrong publicly, then a real apology is also public. So I did misspeak when I spoke with Mr. Killings earlier. I want to clarify, so I apologize to the E-Board for misspeaking, but I also want to clarify what my intent was. What I told Mr. Killing was elected leadership, and that was incorrect to me because the E-Board is elected leadership. But I am clarifying right here, right now, that it seems to me, it is my opinion, that the president and vice president of OEA have not taken any real action or had any real plans set up for OEA members, as evident by the fact that this is site-by-site organizing. I asked them in the E-Board meeting directly, from not the day that it came out as gossip on the internet, but the next day when OUSD released an official statement about school closures, I asked directly of the president and vice president of OEA, who were present in that E-Board meeting, what was their plan? What actions did they have planned? And the response that I received was silence. So I cannot blame the E-Board for that. Now, I got somebody shaking their head, and that's fine, but there were other people there at the E-Board. And when I got that list and saw my schools on the list, the first thing I did was email the president and the vice president of OEA and asked them for all the site rep information from the affected sites so I could coordinate. The response I got a day and a half later was, contact this third party. I'm not going to put that name in it because it has nothing to do with this. They're not the leadership. And I'm going to speak directly to what that council member said. Right? If you're executive, you're leadership, you direct action. Now, I understand that not all the actions should come from leadership, but what I'm going to tell you is just critically thinking is, if you're in charge of all of OEA and somebody told you today that they're going to close 13 schools, me personally, I'd be taking action at least the next day, if not just to coordinate people. And so what I'm saying is, I know for a fact as a site member, that did not, as a site rep, that did not happen. I'm putting that out there right now. All the coordination that has happened primarily has been site by site, grassroots, which is great. Now, more recently, there has been some more movement from, now I'm using this term, when I say leadership, I want to be clear because that is a loose term. So when I'm saying OEA leadership, I'm speaking to vice president and president of OEA, because I understand that that term is a loose term, and I do apologize because when I used it loosely, and I should have defined it more widely. I do apologize about that, but I am being clear about my perspective as a site rep, and I'm willing to bet that many site reps have that same perspective. My question to you would be, how many times have you been reached out to, if you're a site rep from OEA, from leadership that said, hey, what are we doing? How can we help you? Let's give you what we've already done last time. This isn't the first rodeo. This is the first time OEA's been through school closures. We literally went through the Roots closure and the Kaiser closure the same year we went on strike. The same leadership was in place. You're going to tell me that from that time, from 2019 and now, they don't have no playbook to open and say, let's lean on that? So I apologize first and foremost to the community as a member of OEA that we are not ready. Let's be honest about it. But I also am here to hopefully galvanize some more support through OEA members and let you know, like, hey, there's multiple teachers here. We have a lot of resources. We want to help. One of the options that we have on the table is a potential strike. Now, we have to be honest about that, about community members. Is that going to fit needs of everybody, right? And the goal of that isn't to get a raise for teachers. The goal of that is to stop school closures, right? And the other goal is, the other direction in that was to have our leadership, once again, vice president, reach out to other unions. I can tell you as a fact that we have members at my site that have social connections and were reached out to by presidents of other unions, and they reached out to leadership directly and got silence. I can tell you that right now. Whether you're aware of that or not, that did happen. So there's a lot of stuff that is not happening that should be happening. That's my opinion. But regardless of what is or isn't happening, I'm going to do something because I care. And many of us here are doing something because we care. Whether or not the leadership, once again, when I say leadership, I mean vice president, president, seem to not be stepping into that executive role and trying to provide any guidance or direction in a time of need. But what I see here is beautiful. What I've been seeing is beautiful. We need to continue. I'm not saying that to down OEA because I am a member of OEA. I'm not saying that to down teacher because I am a teacher. Many of us here are teachers. And I appreciate y'all showing up.
Now it's like double the people since I first spoke, but I felt that it was important for me to come back. Mayra Alvarado, Executive Board Member of the Oakland Education Association and Site Rep at Manzanita Seed. Si hay alguien que necesita interpretación, por favor levante la mano porque puedo decirlo en español también. Okay, I'm just asking if anybody needs interpretation because I want to make sure that folks could all access the information I'm about to say. So, we could go back and forth about what happened at an executive board meeting with members there. We could go back and forth all day. But what I find really disturbing is that these rumors and things that are negative about our leadership, which I include myself in, and as a rep, even before I was on executive board, we work our butts off in classes all day long. We are working class people of color. Our president is a black man and our vice president is a Latino man.
and for lies to be spread about the people who are doing the work and our working class men of color is just wrong. Let me finish speaking, please. The real enemy are those 5 board members who voted against school closures. The real enemy is the privatizers who continue to close our schools. And if you look around and you're like, wait, why is there just one executive board member here? Because of the very public attacks and lies that have been spread, and we are not the enemy. We are here trying our darn best to do the best that we can. So please ask questions before making assumptions. Because I'm in there in all those meetings because I have the capacity, because I don't have children, but my family lives out here in Deep East Oakland. They live in District 7, right on the 70s. Again, please, let's not try to divide and pit our own against each other. I don't understand where this is coming from, but I want to get to the work. And so I just wanted to keep it really short and say, this is not about us being against each other, especially when we're attacking other working class folks of color. That's it.
Oh, I can't wait to see that strike, though. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, this is my brother right here, Moses Omolade, fresh off his 18-day hunger strike. Hey, and let me tell y'all something. Hey, 78th and MacArthur, they over there lit right now. They blocking traffic. They out there with signs. I couldn't tell them to come here, though. So I think that if you guys ain't doing nothing after this, you should definitely stop by there because they over there organic with it. And knowing East Oakland, they might start a sideshow over there or something. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. A good sideshow. Keep our schools open sideshow. You feel me? Parker, they turned up over there.
How y'all doing, yo? First and foremost, I want to say thank you all so much for the support in the past, 18 days. But also, I want to say thank you for being willing and open to receive the energy that Sanche and I were putting out. A lot of people that experienced what we were putting out didn't move and didn't do anything. So I want to commend you all for doing things when you heard the call. It's kind of it feels, sorry, my words are not with me as much. I should be in the hospital, but as we know these systems, the hospital tried to give me a psychiatric evaluation. They wanted to try to put me in a straitjacket just because I chose to do a hunger strike. But and that's the type of things we're striking against, right? It's systems that have these strange protocols that don't serve the people that they're supposed to serve. So it's very nostalgic being here again. I started my education career at Markham Elementary about, 9-10 years ago. And I remember this place used to be all concrete. And Paloma, where you at, Paloma? Hi, Paloma. So everyone say hi to Paloma. I remember being here with Paloma and all of us just it was all concrete and the garden was not even as far as this. It was only about up until this palm tree here, or aloe, whatever tree that is. And we just kept saying kids in the East need greenery. Kids in the East need space that's beautiful. So we applied for this really huge grant. So it's really good to be here to see people laying down here and to see all these structures up. But I say that to say when you have a vision in mind, it's very possible for that vision to come true, right? And it's very important that we keep that vision in sight. I've been hearing in the past 15, 20 minutes, folks being honest with one another and calling one another out. And I think those things are important. And simultaneously, because that's what we've been doing, we've been airing everybody out. and simultaneously, I want to remind us that even though some of us exist in bodies that seem similar to one another, sometimes we have different approaches and different outlooks. So it's okay to critique. It's okay to tell people in leadership that you ain't doing shit. And that's not okay. You know what I'm saying? Because for some reason, sometimes when you work so hard to climb these ladders, there are ways that you box yourself in. And when it's time to get active, you're like, oh, I can't because I'm not supposed to. Nah, we gotta scratch that. We gotta really start to think outside the box about what's possible. When people are under attack, you can't go to protocol on how to protect them. You step out in the streets and you fight for them. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand that there's processes within these unions and things like that to make sure that, you know, that they have procedure. Like I get procedure sometimes. And sometimes you got to put the procedure and the playbook aside and you got to get busy. And that's what we got to start thinking about, is that it's okay to step outside the law. It's okay to step outside the rules, especially when your morals and your sight is right and is just. When you know you're right and you're just, you can do whatever the hell you want to make sure that that's heard. All right? So, again, I want to say thank you all. I want to say this fight's not over. Last night we expected that. Sasha and I definitely expected that. They swindled us and tricked us into that position. And for me, the only reason why I didn't continue was because internally, the morning of the 18th, I had shut down my internal spiritual fight because I had already planned on ending it. Something was going on internally, and I got 2 babies. And a lot of elders stepped in and said, you know, we're going to need you for the long haul. So recoup. So I do want to let folks know Sanche is still on a hunger strike, y'all. Sanche is a fierce spirit, and they are not going to stop until they feel like there's some movement. So while it might feel like it's over, I still need folks to be on fire. I still need folks to push on Gavin Newsom. We're gonna change some things on the Instagram just to make sure the letters that are getting blasted. 12,000 emails went out to the board of directors. They cannot use their emails right now. All right? So that's lovely. And Gavin Newsom, when they met with us, one of the main things that they wanted us to stop was the social media and the political pressure that they were receiving. So I know that because we changed our gears towards the board, there hasn't been so much pressure on Newsom, but we're going to change that up a bit. We're going to press Newsom again because this is a statewide issue. All right? I definitely want to say for myself, I'm going to take some time to rest and to laugh and to try to eat and to maybe watch some Netflix. I ain't watched Netflix in years. So, but on the other end of this, we do want to get busy. So I want to say, in the meantime, as folks with Hunger Strike for Oakland Schools take a little break to breathe, folks, keep the pressure on these institutions. We will return with a lot of different strategy, direct action. We're going to folks' homes. We're not letting folks feel comfortable in this city as long as they don't make us feel comfortable in this city. You understand? So, again, thank you all for your support over the past couple weeks, and don't be afraid to question the system. Please. Don't be afraid to push your bosses. I want to tell y'all straight up, I got real issues with Carla Johnson-Trammell. I want to say that loud and clear for whoever here knows her. I am upset that human beings in a position of power, and I heard she's how many generations Oakland. If you're that many generations Oakland and you step behind closed doors and you can't look at people that you're supposed to represent and be real, I don't know if you're actually from Oakland. I want to say that. And I know she's in a big position of real power, and sometimes it's hard to take a stance. But you got to. When it comes to situations like this and a baby's on the line, you have to. Somebody threatened your check, Kyla, and you're still nervous about that, and you decide to lay it down on babies because your check is threatened, we got to get you up out that seat. That means you can't handle the pressure. That means you can't handle it. So I got issues with the board of directors, the 5. I do have issues with Kyla, and I'll remind you, these are not issues that cannot be resolved, right? We talked about humanizing the process. That means that we can have conflict and we can resolve it. So yes, I have a conflict with our leader, and until that's resolved, the pressure's on. So if you know her personally, let her know. She knows my number. Tell her to call. But we need to shake this system up. We need to shake the district up. And folks that ain't ready to serve us, we need to get them the hell up out of here. Thank you.
Brandon Dawkins, the incoming Vice President of Organizing for SEIU Local 1021.
And this closure of schools, what's the position of SEIU 1021 on that?
We do not support these closures. We don't support the closures. We don't support the cuts.
Why are they taking place?
Excuse me?
Why are they taking place?
Well, the district is pretty much putting out a message saying that because of a budget shortfall that they have to close the schools. They are putting out a false message saying that if they don't close the schools, that they can't give teachers and classified staff wages, which is a pretty much lie because, we've had folks that went into the books and looked, and Oakland Unified is actually doing a lot better this year during the pandemic than they have in the past. So we actually have a budget surplus.
How many of your members would be affected by closures?
Well, we got 1,000 members right now in the Oakland Unified chapter, so a good amount will be impacted. Actually, all will be impacted.
And these are like black and brown schools? I mean, you think it's aimed at minorities or working class black and brown people?
Absolutely. I mean, since 2004, 18 schools in Oakland has closed. Out of those 18 schools, 16 of them were in black and brown communities. That's 60% of the schools. And then out of those 16 schools, 14 of them came back as charters.
And one of the issues that came up, there was a rally of longshoremen and educators around the issue of the stadium as well. John Fisher, what's your view on that?
It's all connected. Libby's connected with Fisher. Fisher's connected with KIPP, which is a charter school. The Fisher's connected with multiple charter schools. So the connection is that they're trying to. It's a money grab. It's a land grab. So the schools that OUSD is trying to give up in black and brown communities, Fisher may try to swindle his way in to get some of those properties to create more charter schools, which is basically revenue for those charter schools. And the billionaires, I have a firm belief that billionaires cannot teach our children.
And they're not closing any charter schools in Oakland.
Closing any charter schools. They're not closing any schools above 580. So that's a big problem.
And the issue of the Labor Council, the building trades, they're supporting the stadium. Do you think that the union should oppose that and change their position?
I mean, absolutely. Especially after all this, labor unions, we should change our position. We should change our position, and we should not support that stadium.
It's going to hurt working people.
It's going to hurt working people. It's going to hurt, our members in particular, because we have enough members that's living in the communities around the Howard Terminal.
And there are 80,000 maritime workers who would be radically affected. And a lot of them are black and brown as well.
Yep. I mean, I understand the position of jobs. We need jobs. But how many people are we going to displace at the expense of needing jobs?
And this issue of public education, I mean, it seems like it's for all working people, not just teachers, not just public workers.
Public education is for the public. And anytime a charter school comes to our community, you are displacing public schools.
Do you think that there should be a state repeal of the charter school law?
Yep, absolutely. The state of California needs to change that law so charter schools can't easily get public school property.
And California has a $45.7 billion surplus. You've got all these billionaires, 177 billionaires in California. It seems like they don't have money.
They need to give that money to the schools.
To make a great school system.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Take care.
All right, Steve.